Hi, everybody. This is Kathy L. Murphy, the Pulpit Queen, reporting live from my little cabin in the woods. And you all, I have got a special color just to go with this book, Ernestine's Milky Way by my friend Kerry Madden-Lunsford, and it's illustrated by Emily Sutton. But first, I want to introduce my friend who gets younger and younger every time I see her. She lives in Birmingham, Alabama. I've stayed with her and I've watched her daughter Nora and her kids grow up, and we've got her little dog. Is your little dog there?
Yes, she is. Would you like to see her?
Yes, I want to see her. I miss her.
Come here, come here. Look.
Oh, oh, you
Here's
got two. Look
yeah, this
here.
is Olive.
Look who's here, Olive. It's
Olive, she's
Kathy.
14. She's a little old lady.
Well, I love the pets. I've got four cats right now because I'm watching my daughter's grand cat, I guess,
Right.
Luna Bell, because she's gone out camping to Big Bend National Park. So I have to chat with my three rescue cats, and they don't get along.
Oh no.
It's a disaster. So just quickly, let's just talk about, we met a long time ago.
We did. We met. I mean, I was thinking about it. You in the middle of right before the Pulpwood Queens conference, and it was 2006.
Wow.
And I know, but I just because General's Holler had come out, but you came and got me you were in charge of this huge thing, and then you came and got me at the airport with your daughters and helped me get my luggage. You know, it was just.
I used to do all that. I ran the road with I called it the damn minivan, and I the authors. I would do radio interviews in the car with the authors, and I went to all my book clubs in the Arklatex, and kids in tow. And now here, Lainey's 32 and Madeline's 28. Can you believe that? I know, and I'm 65, and I'm still doing this. But it's what keeps me young. And children's book has always been my heart of hearts, because I had teachers and librarians who were my saviors, and they introduced me to the wonderful world of reading. And I always say books saved me. If it hadn't been for books, I don't know where I'd be today. And so that's why I'm on this mission to get everybody reading, from the little bitty kids to, the young at heart. So having you back in the fold, and I've watched Nora, and she's just so beautiful, and all your kids, really. I visited you in Los Angeles.
That's right. That's right.
Remember that when we were doing the Beauty in the Book show?
Yeah.
And because your husband teaches out there.
Right.
And we had a wonderful dinner with some people, and I've been to, I don't think did I go to your home out there, or just met you in a restaurant? I can't remember now. That was quite a while.
I can't remember either, but we had I know we had a blast every time.
The last time I was with you was in Birmingham. And
yes, you stayed. Yes.
I can't remember what I was there for.
You were on a road trip, and you were passing through, and then we had a night with Patty Callahan Henry and Lanier.
Yes.
Came over.
Yeah, it was so much fun. And but I'll probably be coming through that way. I don't know if I'll be going that high up or lower, but we're working on really hard trying to see if we can make this year's Girlfriend Weekend back live. So we're going to have some big announcements coming up, and it's your way.
Oh, that'd be great.
So fingers crossed that everything happens. And because it's been since 2020 since we've all gotten together, and people are just missing each other. We've been doing Zoom conferences, but and they're fantastic. I mean, I cannot believe how well we've had 2 years of them going, but I couldn't have done it without Mandy Haynes, who is a volunteer from Amelia Island, Florida. And we've never met, and she jumped in to help me. She's one of my authors, and we talk every day. Yesterday, I think we talked 4 times. So she's a terrific author. But we're going to be talking about this book, and I love the story, but I really too think the illustrator really captured your story. And 32 pages of illustrations, and they're absolutely beautiful. So is there anything we want to say before we do this, before we do the story time?
Well, if I had not written Gentle's Holler, which was when we met,
Yes.
Gentle's Holler took me to Maggie Valley, and that is where I met Ernestine Edwards Upchurch, who inspired this story, who told me about when she was 5 years old and a little girl, her very first job. And she was she was the matriarch of the mountains who believed in reading for kids and literature. She was a social worker. She was this, we became very close, and she became my mountain mother. And she didn't get to see this book published. She got sick right about a year before it came out. But the magical thing is, I didn't know Emily. Emily looks like a Yorkshire Anne of Green Gables. She has this long red hair. She has never been to Maggie Valley. She grew up in England, but I wrote to her and I said, my friend Ernestine, she's read the story. She knows it. She knows it's coming out, but if you have any art, and you're not really supposed to bother the illustrator because it's like the twain shall never meet, but I thought she'll never get to see it. And the very next day, Emily had sent 4 sketches and paintings that Ernestine's daughter, Libby, was able to share with her. So it was just, she got to see it, which was amazing. So,
well, it's my big dream that one of these days I'll be able to illustrate a book.
yes.
I just took 35 paintings to a gallery, and I've been doing these fairy tales. And this, we just had Rita Sims Quillen, and she's from the Appalachia. And then we also Lisa Cullen, who is out in South Carolina, did a little children's book called Little Orange Riding Hood. And it kind of reminds me of kind of another mountain story of the Little Red Riding Hood, because she's afraid she's going to run into all these animals, and she does. But you're going to get the story today, and it's absolutely lovely because I spent my childhood outside in nature, and I live with the woods all around me in my little cabin. And it's like living my childhood dream out, because I can go outside and just see the animals walking around, just like you have got in this book. But the illustrations are incredible, and the story is so sweet and loving, and we need to get outside with nature and take these walks. So
I agree completely.
it's really, really sweet. And I just, I remember this book cover reminds me a lot of the children's book covers of Mr. Rabbit and the Lovely Present. Do you remember that book?
Yes.
Oh, I love it. And it kind of had that real soft illustration in greens instead of blues. But I just, I'm an adult children's book fan, and I don't really necessarily have in my home a library. I have a children's library, and it's rated by, I have a grandson now. So you signing the book to Hawthorne, my grandson, just means the world to me, because at the end of the year, after we have we're going to be having awards this year for Children's Picture Book of the Year and Middle Grade Reader of the Year again. So after we finish those awards at our convention, this will go to his library. And I'm just so thankful for all my author friends, and even just the sweet little skunks. And they're out right now. I'm going to tell you, I went out last night. Oh my, they're always where they get under the house. But it's a beautiful book and a beautiful story, and I can't wait till you read it.
Okay, well, I will. So I should read it now, and then you're gonna.
And I'm gonna show the pages, so you don't have to. You just read, and I'll show the page. And she's got the Milky Way here, and the
yes.
Yeah, it's beautiful, and I love this. I just love how you started.
It's so. When Ernestine told me this story about that her mother had her. This was a real job. I went outside and there were all these stars all over the mountains. And I thought, It's Ernestine's Milky Way. And I thought somebody should write that, but I'm not a picture book author. This was 2009. So it took me, I had to work up the courage to even try, because I always wrote for middle grade and for older kids and adults. So, but it just got into me, and I thought I gotta figure out a way to tell this. So, all right. Deep in the hills and hollers of Maggie Valley, where the sun rose over an old rock house, lived Ernestine, her mama, and their cow, Old Peg. Daddy was off in the war, so it was up to Mama and Ernestine to keep the farm running. Every morning, Ernestine hollered out her window to the great Smoky Mountains. I'm 5 years old and a big girl. Then, rain or shine, she and Mama would head off to the barn to milk Old Peg. Later, Mama ladled the creamy milk into her tea and drizzled it over Ernestine's oatmeal. They kept the extra milk cold in mason jars inside the gurgling spring house off the kitchen. At bedtime, when Mama heated milk on the old wood stove, she'd say to Ernestine, I'm the Big Dipper and you're the Little Dipper. And way over in Germany, Daddy sees the same stars we do up there in the Milky Way. Then Mama would pat her big belly. And maybe by the time Daddy comes home, the twins will already be crawling. When even a drop of milk spilled, Mama said, why look, it's our own Milky Way. Then they'd cuddle under quilts, telling stories of stars, constellations, and wandering planets. One day, Mama said, Ernestine, I need you to do a job for me. Mrs. Mattie Ramsey, who rents the shanty house down yonder, needs milk for her children's breakfast. Their daddy's gone off to war too. You want me to carry Old Peg's milk all the way to the Ramseys? I'd do it myself, darling, but Dr. Fairchild says I gotta stick close to home with these babies coming. Ernestine jumped on top of the milk pail and stuck her chest out. I can do it, Mama. It won't be easy, Mama warned. You'll have to walk through thickets of crabapple and blackberry by the creek, down the path of prickly gooseberry and honeysuckle, past the vines of climbing bittersweet, into the valley of doghobble and devil's walking stick, and through the barbed wire fence. I can do it, Mama, Ernestine repeated. She climbed down off the milk pail and whispered, I'm 5 years old and a big girl. But did Ernestine tremble a little when she spoke the words?
Oops. Okay.
Next morning, Mama bundled Ernestine up in her blue coat and woolen scarf. She handed her 2 mason jars of milk with the lids screwed on tight. See Venus shining up there, she said. That's the morning star. It'll light your path as the sun comes up. And so Ernestine set off in the silent dawn beneath a lavender sky. She carried the jars in an old feed sack close to her heart, while the mountains slept like giant elephants under a scattering of stars. Just as Ernestine entered the thicket of crabapple and blackberry, she heard a snuffling along the path. Could it be a lone wolf rustling up a breakfast of berries? But no, it was only a family of sleepy skunks trundling single file along the creek's edge, on their way home for an early morning nap. I'm 5 years old and a big girl, said Ernestine, tightrope walking across a gnarled log. When Ernestine reached the path of prickly gooseberry and honeysuckle, she heard a fearsome grunta, grunta, grunta in the brush. Could it be a passel of sleek panthers with glistening fangs? But no, but it was only a cluster of whistle pigs rooting up a snack of dandelions. I'm 5 years old and a big girl, called Ernestine, stomping down a trail of crunchy acorns and witch hazel. As the sky turned pink above the vines of climbing bittersweet, the mockingbirds chirped. Soon Ernestine found herself in the valley of green doghobble and devil's walking stick, where she heard a mighty big something, a scratching up a tree. Could it be a great black bear with claws sharp as swords? But it was only a ring of baby raccoons practicing tree climbing with their mamas. I'm 5 years old and a big girl, yelled Ernestine, ducking as she carefully climbed through the barbed wire fence. What a relief to feel the buttery sunshine on her face. But then one of the milk jars slipped from the old feed sack and rolled down the path. She watched it bounce, spin, and twirl as she chased after it, still holding the other jar close to her heart. Over and over it went pell-mell, down, down, down into the holler. Ernestine scooted, stretched, and straddled to catch that runaway jar of milk, but it vanished without a trace. Mrs. Mattie Ramsay sat on the step rocking babies as Ernestine made her way up to her shanty, blinking back tears. Howdy, Ernestine, Mrs. Ramsay said. You got something there, baby? Breathless, Ernestine held up one jar. I brought you 2 jars of milk from our cow, Old Peg, only I dropped one, and now it's lost forever. Ernestine tried not to sniffle as children kept appearing from every which way. An old lady called from a window, breakfast, y'all kids get in here. Mrs. Ramsay answered, coming, Aunt Bertie. Then she turned to Ernestine. Never mind, child. Please eat breakfast with us. So Ernestine went into the kitchen with all the children, and they poured Old Peg's milk on their steaming bowls of oatmeal. Suddenly, the oldest boy, Jimmy, appeared in the doorway, holding up something muddy and covered with leaves. Hey, y'all, look what I found in the creek. And there was the other mason jar, which must have spun so fast down the mountain, landing with a plop in the icy water, that the milk had churned into butter. Everybody cheered as they spread butter on slices of cornbread, and Aunt Bertie sang, Lordy, I can't remember the last time I tasted real butter. Thank you, Ernestine. You're a big girl and a good neighbor. When Ernestine arrived home with 2 empty mason jars, Mama kissed her head, hugged her tight, and said, I'm proud of you, darling. You're my big girl. And every day after that, Ernestine toted 2 mason jars of Old Peg's milk to the Ramsay family, through the thickets of crabapple and blackberry, down the path of prickly gooseberry and honeysuckle, past the vines of climbing bittersweet, into the valley of dog hobble and devil's walking stick, and through the barbed wire fence. Because she was 5 years old and a big girl. And that's what neighbors do.
I love it. And I love this part too, because if I'd been thinking, I would have got up this morning and made some cornbread. You've got this recipe here and you've got this wonderful story behind the story on the author's note. It's a beautiful, beautiful book, Kerry.
Thank you, Kathy. Thank you.
Well, what's important to all that watches this, because this is going up on my Kathy L. Murphy YouTube channel for Mama Cat's Book Club, is that during this time, especially of COVID, we have family story time. So you can either have a watch party and listen to Kerry, the author herself, read the story and tell the backstory, or you can sit down and pull your kids up into your lap and you can read to them or your grandchildren. I'd like to encourage everyone to take advantage of this family time that we're having with COVID and do those things, because this is the thing that kids most remember about me when they were little, is me telling them all the stories.
Right, right. Oh, I think absolutely. That's what I have 3 and it's the same thing. They had their own little library. And actually my daughter Lucy is about to have a baby.
I know, I'm so excited.
And I am too, but she has a library where the books face out. So the little baby, she's not here yet, or they're not going to find out, but the library and the whole room is set up and the books are already, she has about 50 books already. So it's a built-in library, which is very exciting.
My daughter Lainey did the same thing, and it's got a nature theme, everything in it's nature. I got her a giant bear and She's got it all like tree sheets that she made, but it's so important that you read to. I read to my children before they were even born. When I was pregnant, I was going to school. I'd gone back to college, so I read all my homework out loud. So they were, both of them were hearing me reading textbooks and things, because it sets that tone for that reading is love.
Yes.
And what happens so often is if you wait till your kids get in school, it's seen as homework. And
Right.
children need to learn that reading is for family time, love. And so
Yes.
when you pull a child into your lap and you hold them close and you read them the story, I love reading to Hawthorne. Hawthorne gets story time all day long. Before he goes to bed, he goes to the story time at both the Texas Women's University, where Toby works, and at the little Sanger Library. And I tell people, they go, well, my child won't read. And I go, did you read to them? Oh, no. I go, whatever you do in life, they're going to mimic that. So my kids dress up. In fact, Lainey works in a Rose's Costume, which is the largest theater costume place in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex.
Wow.
Unbelievably fun to go there. And,
Yeah.
and she's going to be in a play coming up there in Denton, Texas. So she's still doing theater too. And then my youngest daughter, you know, of course, that she loves to dress up too. They love to come to Girlfriend Weekend and wear the crazy clothes. And
Right.
we have a really fun time. So I would love to get back to Birmingham, because Melanie Morris is doing those wonderful art classes, and I haven't seen Michael.
Oh, I
It was her
know.
last workshop. So I haven't seen them in a while. This COVID thing has really made us distance from each other. So
I know. It's been so, I actually did my first school visit in person in Moody, Alabama. And it was just amazing to be back to, you know, to see these fourth, fifth, and sixth graders and read to them and share Ernestine's story. And it was just, but it was after 2 years. And then my own UAB students, halfway through the semester, they took their masks off, and I looked at their faces and I thought, oh, because I was only looking at their eyes for the
I know. It's always funny how people always recognize me, even though I've got on all this, but you know, I'm always changing my hair and everything. And they go, oh, it's Kathy. And I go, how did you know it was me? They go,
right.
you know. But if you ever come this way, I have some really great librarian friends that are near here. We could set up some events.
Oh, I would love to come and do some workshops and read.
Because Mount Pleasant, Texas is just an hour from here. And I was just over with Helen Thompson, who's the head librarian, and she has Evening of the Arts. And I took my paintings, and they had a wonderful children's author that will be featured next month, Jared Chapman, for our story time. He's a East Texas author, and he does little board books. Oh, they're just like fruits and pajamas. I mean, it's just the cutest things you've ever seen. So I'm always on the hunt for children's authors. So if you know of any,
I could send a slew your way.
send them on, because I'm only booked through May. So I need authors through the end of the year. And they'll automatically be made a children's book of the month, so that they'll be voted on at the end of the year. And hopefully that all of them can come to our annual convention. And we reckon we're having a Sunday night. We call it our Pulpwood Oscars.
Oh,
and we introduce all our authors of the year. And then we award our awards, and then we announce our 2023. So we've made it a really big deal, and we tell everybody, dress like you're going to the Oscars, only pick up your gowns at Goodwill, you know, the local, you know, whatever. We just had more fun. We did it for the first time last year, and we all dressed up, and everybody just had a ball, and it was Zoom. It was a Zoom event, and it was fun, but we're crossing our fingers that this all works through. So as soon as we get the venue contract signed, we will let everybody know. And I think everybody's going to be really excited where it's
I know they are. It's such, I mean, I bought my first tiara.
Yeah. So tell us what's in the future. Now that you've done this picture book, will there be more?
I'm working on some more picture books. I want to show you something. I don't know if I want this to be a picture book, but and then I'll tell you about another novel, but this is the grandmother chair. It's an old chair that folds up into a crib.
No way.
They just gave it to me. Here, I got to get the dog leash out of the way, but it's old antique chair. And I just think,
oh my gosh, I love it.
And my 3 kids slept in it, and they just gave it to me. My sisters-in-law, I have 7 sisters-in-law, and they gave me the grandmother chair. So I feel like that is a story that is the way Ernestine percolated. Because I'm thinking of all the grandmothers and grandfathers who read stories to their grandchildren. So I'm hoping that is one that is like starting to obsess me. And do
that because I have I got Hawthorne a little bent, twig rocker, and I have a matching one here.
Oh, that's great.
He has a little one in his room and he sits in it and reads, and then when he comes here he sits in my lap. But grandmas have chairs of all different kinds, and that would be such a cool thing to have people send in the picture of their grandma chair.
That's a great idea.
We'll have to brainstorm on some great ideas that we could do and libraries could bring in a grandma's chair. That would be fun.
It would be fun. It's one of these. So I mean, I've been teaching a ton. So I'm done next week, and so then this summer is what I'm going to be focusing on, just trying. And I've started the picture book, but I just love the idea of, just because it's got so much sentimental value to me. But then I think of grandmothers reading to their grandchildren and grandfathers.
I want it. I know I want it. It's perfect for me because that's exactly what we do. But
right.
And I think it's important that we have these stories that are, so many books these days are just like, we just lost Patricia McLaughlin.
Oh,
I didn't know it. Kerry, Kimberly Willis Holt told me, and she's a fabulous children's author and one of my dearest friends.
Oh my gosh.
And I just thought all of her books, Sarah Plain and Tall and The Baby, and they were simple stories, but they were told in such a way that they hung with me all my life and with my children. And books like these are ones that are, they're timeless. And I've always said a good book is a good book is a good book, because look at Good Night Moon. I must have read this book. I can quote all the Madeline books, 12 straight lines. 2 straight lines. I can read all those books, and I remember the important ones from my childhood. Island of the Blue Dolphins.
Yes.
Old Yeller. Mr. Popper's Penguins. I love animal stories a lot, and fairy tales. My big dream is to illustrate a fairy tale book, because I just started a fairy tale series of paintings, and it all kind of got inspired by, Fairy Magazine turned it into Enchanted Living Magazine.
I didn't know that. I love
Carolyn Turgeon, who's one of my her work is. I'm supposed to talk to her today, but she does the magazine, and her photographer takes the most beautiful pictures of girls in fairy tale like wooded settings, and it inspired me to start this series. And my sister saw them for the first time. She goes, "Oh, I like these," and I said, I think I found my niche. And I don't know exactly how to get into. Well, go on my Facebook page, because they're there.
Okay.
They're also on my Kathy L. artist page. I haven't got them up on my website yet. I'm going to work on that tomorrow. But anyway, I've been doing a lot of alcoholic paintings that could be children's illustrations, because they're very almost fantasy, woods and mystical, and all the ones I've got in the gallery, they are. And I like to paint animals. So that's great. It's a lot of fun. I'm not so much on people. I have done some portraits of author friends like River Jordan, and Marianne Henry and different ones. They've had me do them, and it was fun, but it was really hard because people
Yeah.
are, you want to capture their spirit,
Right.
So, but she did a wonderful job, and you did a great story, and it just makes me want to have cornbread and buttermilk. And so,
Thank
so you're going to be working on this book, and this book, I don't know who it was published by. Who's it published by?
Schwartz and Wade. It's a division of Random House. So
Oh, right.
Lee and Schwartz were the published, they were, and then Stephanie Pitts was the acquiring editor. She was wonderful to work with. Emily said, I asked her about this picture, this spread. And she said it reminded her, she was inspired by Christopher Robin and the 100-Acre Wood.
Yes, I can see that, definitely.
Yeah, so I just love that. And the
Oh,
other thing I had
man.
to tell her was, I mean, you really don't, she just knew what to do. Like in the mountains picture, when I was reading in Maggie Valley, in this picture, I turned the page and this little boy goes, "Hey, there's our mountains. Those are our mountains." It was so sweet.
Isn't that wonderful that she did that? And she lives in England?
She lives in Yorkshire. Yeah.
Oh,
But I would love to bring it. We did do some school visits. She came to California and we went to down to San Diego to do some school visits with Warwick's bookstore, and they set us up with some local public schools. And then we went to a family literacy center in downtown Los Angeles with the mothers predominantly spoke Spanish. So I would read, my friend Karen Salazar would translate, and then Emily had brought all the paintings, and it really related to the kids because they grew up on farms in Mexico. And so we all were sharing our stories of just growing up in the country and or rural areas and having to, it was very, very familiar, even though it was, Maggie Valley, North Carolina. So just getting to go and do these school visits with Emily. She just happened to, she has family in LA and was coming anyway. And I said, let's do a few. And we just had she's wonderful.
and see, now with Zoom, we could have brought her in,
I know.
maybe we could do that down the road, just a
Down the
special,
road.
we could do a Zoom with her. I have regularly a new member from Japan, Suzanne Kamada, and she comes to everything. And she sometimes has to watch us at 4 a.m. It's crazy times. But now that Zoom has opened up our world where we're getting, Janet Skesley and Charles, and Paris is on board, different people from different countries. We've been in everywhere from Malta to England to Mexico. I mean, it's
Wow.
opened up the world. The book club, we've picked up thousands of new members now that we've gone online, but everybody still wants to have the live event. So
Yeah.
now, the last thing I want to talk to you about is, how has it been during COVID for children's authors?
Well, we've had to we've adapted. I mean, we've done Zoom school visits.
Okay.
Those are, I mean, I've gone, you sort of, I mean, it's harder though, because some kids, somebody I've seen kids like,
Like at a movie theater, yeah.
you're trying to jazz it up. But so doing it through Zoom, also just, I haven't really, just being in person was just such a shock that when I went a couple weeks ago. But I think I recorded Ernestine Ernestine came out right before COVID. So I got to go, I was lucky enough. A lot of my friends who had books come out, that was so, like, my friend, you've got to get Molly Rutten on here. She's got a new book out called Violet and the Crumbs, about a kid who can't eat gluten, and it just came out.
Oh, that sounds great. Connect me.
I will.
Why I started this is Adriana Trigiani came to Girlfriend Weekend this year, and oh my God, she just went on and on about what all I've done in publishing, and she goes, and I've got a children's book coming out, and I thought, what a children's book, and it's a book of love, and it's about Valentine's Day of this family in Appalachia and how
Wow.
they made everything. It's the most fabulous book. And I said, that's it. I'm starting back up my children's book club, and I'm starting with her book. And she came on and read it. And it's just been going, friend will tell a friend. And
Yeah.
because I've been out of children's book selling for a long time, but it's still,
Right.
so many of my authors that I knew are passing away, Bill Martin Jr. and Eric Carle and Patricia McLaughlin and all these wonderful authors that I just adored. And so, but I have friends like you that, and Kimberly has picture books, and Kathy Appelt. Oh my gosh, she has wonderful books too. And so I'm trying to get them all back into the fold, and then learning about the new ones too, because nobody's really doing bookstore tours right now. So I thought, well, click into Mama Cat's book club, because I'm going to, this is like a show now on my Kathy L. Murphy channel. And
Yeah.
it's a way that you can, once this downloads after we're done, you can share it with all your fan base. You can put it up on your website. And it's just a great way to get people reading with families.
I think that's fantastic. That's so great. I'm
Well,
so excited. And I will spread the word, because I have so many. I just was at a conference or a retreat called Kindling Words with some of the most amazing children's authors. And again, that was our first, and it was a retreat. It's a retreat for editors and writers and illustrators to go.
Where is it?
Well, every year they have 2 a year. One is in Boston and one is in out west, or like near Seattle. So, but it's really a chance to recover, just recover from life and just soak back up the world of stories together. And but and they have talks, and so the talks were incredibly moving. So I met a lot of new authors and illustrators. So I'm going to send you a ton of links.
Oh, yay. I knew you would be so helpful. But anyway, so we've got another book coming, and is it gonna be called Grandmother's Chair? I think that's perfect.
Yeah, we do. I got to write it, but it's coming.
It's gonna come to you so fast, because your kids I had an iron baby bed that I had picked up in an antique store in Jefferson. Then everybody told me that I couldn't use that for my crib because it's too dangerous.
Right.
I thought, well, I turned it into a bench, and it's on my back deck right now. And so we, story times on the bench. It was always out in the garden.
Yeah.
So, the kids could sleep on it outside, it was really great. They just bring their pillows and sleeping bags and sleep under the stars. And, we spent a lot of time building fairy houses out in the woods. And
oh yeah, Nora,
I'm basically just a big kid that's still playing dress up and doing all the stuff, making mud pies and all the things I did. And now I'm doing it with my grandson instead of my children. And actually we do it all together. We had a big Valentine cupcake baking thing for Adriana, and my grandson helped me make the cupcakes. And so when we do this, when I give him this book, we'll make cornbread.
Oh, that sounds great. That
loves to cook. He likes to clean too. He likes to, on my phone, I got to show you this. On my phone, he, if I just turn this on, let me get this off of here. When I turn on my phone, the picture I have of him is helping Mama.
Oh, that's so great. I love
He's
that.
dusted the coffee table, and I just can't bear to take it off, because I go, my little man, because he's going to grow up and he knows how to fold clothes. He knows how to clean. He works in the garden. He helps his dad, build things. And, everybody needs to teach their children to do both. I hate things that are labeled girl things, boy things.
Absolutely.
Right. We need to learn how to do it all. I mean, we're all taking on all these new roles in life. So let's stick with the program. But
Well, if
Any
I come back, if I come back, or when I come back, I will bring Kiffin, because another thing, my husband Kiffin, when we did the book tour, I forgot to mention. So I would read, and we would bring in little mason jars, and by the time I was done reading the book, he would be shaking it, and it would churn into butter.
Let's do another one this summer.
And then
we could this summer.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be good.
Just call me and we'll set it up and we'll do a special one. And maybe we can get Emily to we
could get Emily and Kiffin clogs. He clogs to and sings the Whistle Pig song. So we could totally have a whole
I actually took clogging for a year with Madeline. I've forgotten so much of it. It was the funnest time ever.
Right.
We did it for a full year and people go, you did what? I go, Madeline and I are learning how to be cloggers. But then it just got really hard with all of her school studies.
Yeah.
Stuff I was doing, but I finally gave my shoes away. But I really love clogging.
It's so much fun, and he really does have that. His great uncle was Bascom Lamar Lunsford, who was a song catcher in the mountains, and who would have these, mountain and dance music festivals. He created that in Asheville, and so there were cloggers.
I love Asheville.
Yeah, so.
Oh my gosh, let's do that. Okay, talk to Kiffin, talk to Emily, and we'll get it set up. And everybody, we've got these books up on our Pulpit Queen bookshop. So it's the independent version of the big box chains, but you can order the book. And I ask all the authors if you'll send me some signed book plates. If they do, send them book plates. So I'll send you, we'll talk afterwards by phone and I'll give you my address. But we're trying to get everybody to read all these books because they'll be voting in this fall for their books of the year for children's books. And this is going to be one of them. It's got the official international Pulpit Queen stamp of approval. So I'll send you that too. And everybody's now putting them on their books. So we're getting pretty big. We have 48 books that we picked this year. And now with the children's books, we'll be adding 12 picture books and 12 middle grade reader books. So we'll have 24 more. We're just trying to help as many authors as we can. And you have checked out the Reading Nation magazine.
It's amazing. Oh my God.
Almost 100,000 readership now. And Mandy Haynes has championed that. And right now, authors, $25 a page. I mean, that's incredible.
Yeah.
And if you're book of the month, a lot of them are buying the covers too. But the magazine is really getting out there. And I think she should win some awards for what she's done in such a relative, it's just a little over a year.
Incredible. It's so wonderful. Yeah. Wow.
So, and we want more, and you can also submit, this is what you need to do before we go. I'm writing a story this month told from my cat's perspective about living here. And you should write one for Olive.
I will.
She publishes them in the magazine. She's always looking for somebody, an author, to write a story from their pet's perspective. Olive, you're adorable.
Yes, she's my little
crazy picture. I had a weird hat on that day, the last picture I had with her. But I always think of the Drew Barrymore movie, Olive the Other Reindeer.
Oh yes, yes.
One of my favorite children's books. I would love to get Drew Barrymore, of course, on, but Adriana has told me, she says, I'm going to help you. She's going to be a keynote this year, and she's bringing her Adriana Ink Book Club authors, which will be big names.
So wonderful.
And I was telling her that I'd reached out to, she just had Matthew McConaughey on the show, and I go, we just live, his hometown's just down the road, and his mom. And I contacted the publisher and asked if he could come and just Zoom for just 15 minutes. And they said no. And I said, and she goes, let me talk to him. And she goes, his wife Camille has a children's book coming out. So
that's wow.
So it takes some big names to draw people in, but we really love to help the first book authors and the ones that really haven't been discovered in a big way. And especially now, COVID has really been so detrimental to authors everywhere.
Yeah.
You know, it's really, you know, if I hadn't have shut down my bookstore, you know, I had to when I had the divorce, it would have shut down during COVID because the
Right.
salon I worked in is closed forever. I mean, there's no salons. My hair is so long. I mean,
It's
it's like
amazing.
clear down to my waist in the back, and it's I call it COVID hair. But now it's these beautiful shades of orchid, and I just,
Gorgeous.
well, it's
Oh,
just it's
it's
fun. I
beautiful.
mean, you know, you got to make life fun. But I'm going to be going on tonight to my book and film club. We're discussing John Barron's Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil.
Oh, great. Oh, that's such a
So
good one.
and then
Yeah.
tomorrow is my Pulpwood Queen. You're gonna laugh. My Pulpwood Queen, Shah Rukh Khan fan and film club. He's the biggest movie star in the world. Have you ever heard of him?
No, no. How do I
Oh
not?
my gosh. His name is Shah Rukh Khan, and he's made over 80 films, and he's won all these Filmfare awards. Watch My Name is Khan, Khan. It was filmed in the United States,
Okay.
and it's about a man who is autistic, who's from India, comes to live with his brother and wife and work as a beauty supply salesman. And he meets a Indian hairdresser in San Francisco. They fall in love.
Right.
She's Hindi, he's Muslim. They fall in love, and it's their love story, but it's so much more because 9/11 happens.
Oh, I cannot wait to see this.
I'm telling you, when you get done with this movie, watch it with your family. It will, his movie, we're discussing Devdas tomorrow, which is one of the most beautiful films I've ever seen in my life. And they all have subtitles now, so you can watch them. Shah, S-H-A-H, Rukh, R-U-K-H, Khan, K-H-A-N. And he has bigger fan base than Tom Cruise, Brad Pitt.
Wow.
He's
Wow.
huge, but he's worldwide star.
Right.
And just, you know, he's known by actors in the United States, like Hugh Jackman is a real big fan of him. You know, Robert Pattinson's a big fan of his, and Lady Gaga, but nobody knows who he is here. But I discovered him during COVID, and I started a fan club because he's fantastic.
That's great.
So we'll be doing that tomorrow. And then I'm on to David Valdez. He'll be our featured author. He's got a teen book.
Okay.
A time travel book about a gay teenager. It's really a great book.
Oh,
He's a playwright, and he'll be joining us from New York. So thank you, Kerry. Thank you.
So welcome.
Give all your family love. Give that baby Olive a big hug. And tell all my friends in Birmingham, I hope to see you all.
I will. I will. We will see you soon. This was so much.
And I'll send you the link and everything. Okay.
Okay. And I'll be sending you lots of children's links too of new authors. Okay.
And I'm just going to end with Ernestine's Milky Way. Get it today. It's all about the story. Thank you so much, Kerry. I love you.
I love you. Thank you. Bye.